Hi guys, and welcome to the fourth video in my Blue Gouldian breeding series. Now I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video this episode. This episode is going to be focusing on the bird leg rings that I used, or the bird identification rings that you would have seen me put on the birds in the first video. Now, if possible, I'm going to try and add in a little bit of footage of me here putting them on, and perhaps an image or two of how they look once they're on there. So one is going to get the orange. I'm going to see if I can show you how it splits. I should put it on, there we go. So yeah, you just put it on there, slide it on, and get one of the hens. So same deal. Now this one's been cooperative. Whoop. Really sticking its leg out for us. There we go. Easy. So I'll just give it a bit of a squash together. Okay, so as you can see, I've used the plastic leg rings for these finches. Now, the good thing about smaller birds is that we can get away with using plastic leg rings. Now, some people do use aluminium ones, and they can either put those on when the babies are very small and their toes are malleable, and basically you put the leg ring straight over the toes and up onto the leg, and as the toes form into place, it locks the leg ring in. So they're not a split ring, they're known as a closed ring. Now a lot of breeders do that. I actually don't, because I don't like to typically handle the chicks when they're that small. It's just a personal thing. I'm a bit worried I'm going to damage them or hurt them in some way. And with small birds, it's very easy just to put on a plastic leg ring later on. Now, these leg rings don't hurt them in any way. They're very light, and you just place them on with an applicator. The birds will sort of try to peck them off a little bit for the first maybe day or so, or a couple of days. With parrots, etc., it's a little bit longer. But once they're on there and the birds are used to them, it doesn't bother them whatsoever. Now, I've actually got 2 leg rings on my current Gouldians. Previous Gouldians I've had a single leg rings or double leg rings. Doesn't make a huge amount of difference. I do prefer just to have one, but in this instance, to make them all identifiable, of course, I put a separate leg ring on each one. Now, that was all in the first video, so if you haven't seen that, you could always run back to the first video of this series, and you'll see where I bring the birds home and put the leg rings on them for identification. But what I've got here is my mother box with all my leg rings in it. Now, I've kept quite a wide variety of birds in the past, so I've got quite a few different sizes of leg rings, so I thought we'd have a look at them today. And this episode is just going to be maybe just having a look at them, me explaining how they work. So let's have a look. Okay, so inside the box here I have a lot of smaller containers. I have my leg ring applicators here for the aluminium rings, which we'll go through in a moment. But here you can see I've got all my leg rings split up into the sizes, and I've got a little label on each box as well, just to give me a reminder exactly what size they are, as all birds do require basically a separate size leg ring. I do have a catalogue here from one of the guys I was buying them off, and that's actually got pretty much all the birds you'll find in an aviary setting. Let's see, we can just have a quick look here. It's probably not the best example, they're so big. But just for example, the 5.3mm size is can fit all of these birds. I'll try and go through. Sorry, this is hard to do with just one hand. Here you go. Well, here's what we're looking for. 2.5mm for like Gouldian finches, some other finches I might be familiar with, star finches from my previous videos, cutthroats, parrot finches. So yeah, it's quite a handy little catalogue, this one, as it It has all the sizes. You can also find it all online, so it's not too much of a drama if you don't find them. Now these are this is for applying the split rings. So when you put the open leg ring on the bird, you can close these up with the pliers, and they fit the specific size leg rings that match up there. And this is actually a Lentra product. I don't know if you can see the labeling. I've had these for many years, so sorry, they're a little bit worn. So let's have a look at a few of the leg rings. Okay, so in recent years, anytime I've had specific breeds of birds, I've bought leg rings for them, and I've put them into separate containers. So these are probably all the birds I've kept more recently. I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, I would say. And before that, I previously had a lot of... getting tongue-tied. I've previously had a lot of leg rings. But over the years, I've sort of lost them, given them away when I've sold the birds or something like that. So, yeah, it's only sort of been more recent times I've done this. So what I also do is I have a couple of these smaller containers. One I do have... oh, no, that's actually the small canaries and nuns. But I use these to soak the plastic leg rings before I put them on in some, not boiling water, but some pretty reasonably hot water, just to make them a bit softer. I do find sometimes if they're very cold, they can crack when you open them, especially when you've had them for many years. They obviously deteriorate a little bit. So I find if you soak them in a little bit of hot water beforehand, just make sure it's not going to hurt the birds in any way, obviously. You'll be able to apply the leg rings a lot easier. So I guess pertaining more to what this current video is about, let's have a look at my Gouldian rings. Now, these Gouldian size rings also fit star finches, which I had, and painted finches, which I had. Both of those are awesome finches. Painteds are beautiful. Star finches are very subtle and very different colour to a lot of the other finches you'll keep. If you go back, I think only my star finches previously, and obviously Gouldians would be on my videos, as I wasn't making videos when I had the painteds. But yeah, so it's just a good idea to keep a record. Like I said, it all is online, but it is nice to keep a record of the leg rings and what they're going to fit. So let's have a look at what they look like. Okay, so here's the leg rings in a bit more detail. So as you can see, I've got quite a lot of different colours. I like to use different colour really each time I keep birds, and I might use certain colours for males and certain colours for females. And I don't know, I like to have different colours and different options. But they usually come on a little sprig like this, let's say the pink ones, and you basically just take the little end cap off and the little leg rings come off. And you usually, I don't know how many it is, but 10 or so, or 10 or 12 per sprig. And looking at that, I actually only have one. Oh no, I've got two pink ones left. Beautiful. I usually buy two of each colour just because I do like to use them and have some spare ones. Now these are the little applicators. They usually will give you an applicator when they give you the rings, and they're usually sort of based on the size ring you're going to be using. They are just sort of very soft aluminium, so you can shape them a little bit better, or you can bend them depending on your need, which is quite handy. So they're it's like aluminium canned aluminium, you know, very soft. And you put it on the applicator here, which opens it up. And if you go back and have a look at my first video, you'll see me doing that. And it's very easy just to put this on the leg and push the ring off, and that enables it to close, and your bird is identified. Now you might ask, why does a bird need to have a leg ring? Well, sometimes you might have multiple birds that look exactly the same. Some you might need to get surgically sexed or something, so you might want to have a different colour leg ring for that reason. Sometimes when you've got young ones, the young ones will look very different to the parents, but when they get their adult colouring, all of a sudden you have 6 birds that look the same, and you might be questioning, when you come to sell the birds, geez, which one was the, which one was the father and the mother, and which ones were the young ones? And you might accidentally sell the wrong bird. So you might just want to, like I do, ring the parent birds, and then all the young ones, that don't have a leg ring, they're safe to sell. And, along those lines as well, you might want to put, say you have a yellow leg ring on the hen and a blue leg ring on the cockbird. Well, maybe you want to put all the young ones, give them a red leg ring and make a note of it. And then when you come to sell it, if you've got multiple pairs, you know exactly that those red leg ring birds are from that pair. And perhaps even if you only have 2 pairs of birds and you want to sell unrelated pairs, then you know, with another set of birds you might have green leg rings for all the young ones. Then you know if you give someone a red and a green, they're unrelated. Also, if you have a bird escape and someone finds it, that can be an easy way to say that you know, that bird's yours. You can get rings with numbers on them, and we're going to look at those in a moment. Some people have custom-made rings with their own name on them or the date that they're bred. Breeders and showers quite often do that. I usually don't bother with that. I usually just use coloured rings. I've got a lot of different choices, obviously. So, and then you can also get some. Which one would it have been? That. Here we go. So my zebra finch. Again, sorry about the one-handedness. You can also get multicoloured rings. So for the zebra finches, for example, I can put on a leg ring that has a, I think that's a dark green and a pink leg ring. So perhaps if I had a pink cockbird and a dark green hen and I put these on, then I know that they're on those. Or if I just want a split ring for some reason, perhaps I'm already using pink on another bird and I want to use dual colour, you can get these dual colour ones, which look really cool. There's another blue and red one there. But again, they're for zebras and chestnut mannequins, I guess you would call those. So yeah, I've had many zebra finches over the years. They may have popped up on one of my videos. I think it's been a while since I've had any. I can't actually think. I think recently I did have a pair for a short time. Java finches. These are probably the largest size plastic rings you can use without the birds going to be chewing them off, which are sort of lovebirds, small lorikeets like your little lorikeet, or perhaps purple crowns or something like that, and Sophotis, which are in a small Australian parrot, well, small to medium. Once you start getting bigger than this, you really want to start using aluminium rings. Neophemas and quails, my king quail that I've been using, budgies and small doves. Again, same thing, just all coloured leg rings and some applicators there. Obviously they're a little bit bigger, being larger birds. Those were my nuns that I had recently, but they're also a small canary. There's some smaller canary breeds, and these finches. But on to the little bit more interesting ones here. And more recently, of course, I've bred Western Rosellas, and I think I do have some videos of those on my channel. You can go and check those out. I have some quite a few cockatiel leg rings here. Now, I haven't bred cockatiels for a few years, but I was going to get back into them recently. So I did get some rings in preparation for that, but of course I get distracted by some other birds. Okay, so as I said previously, some people do get numbered leg rings. Now, these ones quite often are numbered. So I have like a 12p, let's have a look, 17p here. So if I wanted to, I could use these 2 rings on a couple of different birds and identify them by the number. Or yeah, perhaps if I lost a bird and I said, well, look, you know, the leg ring has 17p on it, I'll be able to easily identify it. And I have other ones here which are like all the 290s up to 300. Same sort of deal with some of these, some different coloured ones here. They're all split aluminium. So yeah, larger birds require these rings because they're if they were plastic, they just chew them off. But aluminium, they can't chew off. But of course, the problem is you can't use an applicator, an aluminium applicator, to put these on for obvious reasons. They're fairly strong. So what you can do is there's a couple of ways you can buy them. You can buy them actually already open, like this. So you should be able to put the leg through that gap and then close them up. And that's where these pliers come into play. So I have one here I think I'd already closed just as a bit of a trial. You can see that fits into that hole there. So as you put the leg ring on open, you open up these pliers and put the ring on the inside. Now obviously you'd be lining up the split part of it to close, but then yeah, you close that up, and the pliers are actually designed to close it up nice and circular and give you a nice clean join on the leg. And of course there's two smaller sizes there too, so that's sort of like a neophema sort of a size, which is a smaller parrot. And then I'm not sure if that the smallest size would be finch. Like I said, I haven't actually used the smaller size. I've only actually used the two larger sizes. But primarily I use it for the large size if I have cockatiels or rosellas or something a bit larger that's going to require a leg ring that's a little bit more powerful. So I think it was these ones I was using on my Western rosellas. Yeah, so there you go. So that's a bit of a run through of identifying leg bands or leg rings, you know, depending on which country you're in. People call them different things. Some people call them bands, some people call them rings, especially even larger birds. They have like a stainless steel, very like a wedding ring almost kind of thing, that are super strong because obviously their beaks are so strong. Those kind of things, you know, I think you'd probably be best off going to a vet and getting you to help you put them on. These kind of larger size ones for cockatiels, etc., you can do them yourself, but it is much easier to do it with two people. So I highly recommend having a two-person team when you're doing those. I'm sure if you went to the vet and asked them, they'd be happy to help you as well. Yeah, so there you go. So if you've got any question, please, post them below. I quite enjoy just having all the different colours on hand. You know, even if I'm not really going to be using them. I did have kakarikis for a while, or kakarikis, depending on where you come from. That was just before I started doing my recording, so I had a few leg rings for them as well. And they're also got a plastic version, which is at the top there, which is sort of like a band that unravels. Actually, I might show you. Let's have a look. So yeah, these are sort of classed as a short-term solution. These are actually like a wrap. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it one-handed, but I'm going to see if I can show you. No, I'm not going to be able to. Sorry, I don't have my phone holder up and operating. But if you can see here, I'll try and do it with one hand. There we go. You can see it actually unwraps. There you go. So you can put a leg in there and then wrap it up. Now they were something I bought off a guy that actually I think when I bought one of my kakarikis, he was using them, and he said that he was using them quite often as a sort of a temporary leg band for birds when he was selling them or breeding. So I'm not sure if they'd be able to chew those off. I would be a bit worried about them, you know, possibly getting caught on something. So I probably would never really use them, but I thought they were a bit of an interesting idea. I have a feeling people might use them for poultry. Now, I could be wrong, but maybe someone can confirm or deny that for me there. But typically with the kakarikis, I was just using a split ring anyway, which were fine. But yeah, I thought these were quite interesting. They're like a wraparound ring, but I'm fairly sure that they're for poultry. And kakarikis do act a little bit like poultry at times. If you've ever had any, you'll know what I'm talking about. So there you go. There's a bit of a look at my leg ring collection. Unfortunately, one of the guys that I was buying these off was importing them specifically from the UK, I believe, and they were incredible quality and just fantastic rings. And he actually passed away during COVID. Very sad, along with a lot of people in the world, of course. So now it's actually quite hard to find a lot of quality leg rings. So I'm glad I bought up a lot off him when I could. But he's very much missed and missed part of the bird community. And so yeah, if you do find some good leg rings, maybe stock up a little bit and get a few different colours. And obviously, if you're keeping Gouldian finches, yeah, why not have a nice collection of different colours and see. Now, of course, with this recent lot, I used, see if I can remember, I used black and white for the 2 cockbirds, and I think I used orange and pink for the 2 hens, which all look pretty good. The only regret is the pink and the orange can look a little bit similar from a distance, so I probably should have gone something very different. But I really wanted to use one of my orange leg rings, as I hadn't used those before, so very happy to be using those. So thanks for watching this episode, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.